Welcome to Speaking Holistically, the podcast that explores the power of alternative medicine, natural healing, and homeopathic solutions to help you achieve true wellness. Each week, Dr. Jen and Amy G dive into the world of holistic health, discussing researched, time-tested remedies with expert insights from Dr. Jen, as well as real-life stories from patients to empower you to take charge of your health. So if you're ready to embrace a more natural path to wellness, let's start speaking holistically, because true healing begins from within. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Speaking Holistically. I'm your co-host, Amy G. I'm here with my amazing co-host, Dr. Jen, and we have a special guest today because this is a patient story episode, one of my favorites, Dr. Mary Beth. You've been a patient of Dr. Jen's for a long time now. You've known her for a long time. I specifically asked Jen, because she knows all the story, right? I don't. So I always ask her, don't tell me anything. Our rule is save it for the podcast, especially patient stories. So first of all, thank you for being here. Will you tell us how you met her and just kind of walk us through your story? What health issue did you come to her for, and how did she do her magic and fix it for you?
I walked into her chiropractic office in San Juan Capistrano. I was pregnant with my first child, looking for a Webster practitioner. I had looked her up and found her, and I was living just another beach town over, and showed up at her office. I was a chiropractor at the time. I had graduated in 2001, and let's see, it was about 15 years ago, because my son is now 14, and almost left the office because there was all these kids running around, and kids running around, my goodness,
and none of them were mine, because my kids don't do that.
No, none of them were yours. No, they were other kids. But then that was what I went for, was just to get chiropractic care while I was pregnant. And basically that, she is the reason that then I ended up having 2 home births for both of my kids. I was adjusted the day I had both of them. One, because I had my water broke and I went into labor and was 5 minutes apart. She adjusted me and I went to 2 minutes apart.
Wow. Yeah.
And so she loaned me her birth tub. So she was instrumental in changing the trajectory of my, my experiences, in pregnancy and labor and as a mother. And then for my kids too, obviously changed that. So I changed at about, 34 weeks. I was going to go to a birth center. I had a midwife. I didn't feel like she even remembered my name, let alone was going to be there for all of the things. And Jen's like, you can do this. Boom. And now Jen has also said that about a number of decisions in my life. You can do this. And I'm like, well, Jen thinks I can do it. Okay. So yeah, way more than just health, but yes, absolutely. I think she's held me together through some difficult years. Anytime I have anything, she's the first person I call. And so, yeah, you're welcome, Jen. I know you appreciate all of those text messages.
Mary Beth is an incredible, she's very, very modest, because she's an incredible chiropractor. She's an incredible person, first of all, but she's very resilient. The stuff that she's been through in her life, she's very, very resilient. But she's an excellent chiropractor. She gets the big idea. She gets what chiropractic is about. I mean, that's why she had me adjust her throughout the pregnancies. My husband set up a birth tub at her house. We all, as a community, take care of each other for sure, to keep us taking care of everybody else like we have to. So yeah, no, she's amazing. And I am going to tell a little bit more, because she is very, very modest. There are times that she's like, I just don't think I can do this. And I'm like, really? So I'm going to back up a little bit, because Mary Beth is an Olympic pentathlete.
What?
Medaled, right? No, so I tell her
fourth place.
Okay. 4th place in the Olympics.
I was going to say.
And she went for 5 sports, not 1, 5 sports. And I'm thinking, you literally question yourself. I've never been to the Olympics for 1. And she's like, well, she's been on the cover of magazines. And not only that, she's so modest. She's so capable. She's such an incredible mother. She loves her boys more than life itself. She's a sister. She's a daughter. I mean, she has definitely done a lot in her years for sure. In her short little years that she's been on this planet. So right now she has a practice down in Brandon,
Yep.
Florida. I
Yep.
was like trying to remember exactly.
Yep.
So down in Brandon, Florida, and she takes care of humans and she also takes care of animals. So this was kind of why I wanted her to come on the podcast to talk about that a little bit. So she does. She takes care of humans and she takes care of animals. So that's, we all have spines. And so animals are not that different from humans and they just can't tell you when things aren't working well. And there's actually one video that you have because you have a YouTube channel.
Yep. Yes.
And what's the name of the YouTube channel?
Yeah, what's your YouTube channel?
At Dr. Mary Beth. Dr. Mary Beth.
Okay.
And so one of the first videos I believe that I saw that you put out was the dog that was dragging its hind legs.
Moose. Yep.
And so she adjusted it repeatedly and he's doing well, I'm assuming.
Well, after that one adjust, because I watched him walk down the hall dragging his legs, and on my inside, I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't know what to do. Like, I don't even know if I can help this. And all I did was just basic, simple adjustments to the spine, affected his nervous system, and he walked out of there. Not perfectly. He did end up passing. He's a Frenchie that had a lot of underlying health stuff, and he was on the older side, but he had good quality of life. And I think chiropractic is the main thing that helped him do as well as he did for as long as he did.
So instead of putting him down because of some issue, she was able to adjust him. And I thought that was, it's instrumental. But I love that because just like babies and animals, they can't tell you that they have a headache. They can't tell you that there's something going on. They can't say, okay, I need to find a doctor. And usually parents and owners, and I know I'm kind of lumping them together, but it's similar when your babies can't talk to you, or if you have a child that has delays or is on the spectrum or any kind of issue where they can't communicate what they're feeling. That's why it's so great, because they don't really have to. We can just find what's going on with their bodies and adjust it, fix it, and put it back in place and leave it alone. Adjust it and leave it alone. So Mary Beth, what's the biggest animal that you've adjusted?
I have dogs that are 3 to 5 pounds. I think my smallest one was like 3 pounds. And then I see horses. So I have a big, I think he's a warm blood. So he's, upwards of 16 hands. So I have no idea how big an animal that is, but I have to have 2 mounting blocks to stand on to adjust him. Wow. But it's, so yeah, the bigger they are, it's a little harder, but it's about affecting the nervous system. And however you can do that, it does make a massive difference. And I have to say that, like, what's embarrassing about that is I had horses growing up. I had dogs growing up. And even until I've been doing animal chiropractic for, I think, 5 years. And it was my own dog. She hurt herself playing with her friend. And so I rested her. Then I took her to the vet and we did laser treatments and we did acupuncture, and those would help. But then as soon as she'd play again, it would come back. And so I started thinking, why don't I try chiropractic? As soon as I started adjusting her and trimming her toenails, she hasn't had any issues. And so I was like, duh. And all those years of riding horses, and when the horses would be saddle, sore, or they'd have bad habits in the stall, or they wouldn't want to jump, they would refuse, or now I know that was the messages of pain that animals have. Their performance issues, their attitude issues, their behavior issues. They aren't saying, they're not saying I have a headache, but they're telling you in other ways. And so
sounds like a husband.
I don't have one.
Attitude issues, performance issues. No, I'm just kidding. Not any of our husbands. I'm just saying out loud.
Yes, yeah, I got you. But yeah, I get excited about my work, all the work that I get to do, but the animal stuff is it is like working with kids, because, there's really no placebo, whether it's a placebo or not. It's going to work or it's not. Yeah. And it almost right away. And it's pretty miraculous.
I just Honestly, I love that you do chiropractic for animals. I joke, I only half joke that as far as animals go, like the level of animal lover that I am, it's like barely second place to people. And I know when I say that, people are like, what? Like I'm a bad person. I'm like, hey, look, man, I'm just being honest. That's how much I love them. I save every bug in my house and take it outside. I'm like, you're just in the wrong place, the wrong time, buddy. Here you go. That's just who I am. Like all the way from, bugs to bears and everything in between. I just love animals. So I love that you do this and that you treat animals. Like such a special place in my heart. What made you decide to do that? Because obviously you could have just continued treating only humans. So how did you make this the shift or decide you wanted to do that?
Well, I think it was having my own dog need that, and I wanted to learn how to do that. And although as a chiropractor, I have in my state, I have the ability to manipulate an animal. It's totally different. They're quadruped, the effects of gravity are different, and I wanted to know how. I wasn't going to guess. So that's why I went and did it. And also I do love animals more than people.
Good, you make me feel better.
There's a handful of people that are above it, and I do love working with humans too. They're just, but animals have a very special place in my heart. And I think, when I actually adjusted a pig once, so she ended up dying in a ATV accident, very young, very tragically. But in her funeral, they were talking about how much of an animal lover she was. She had pigs, she had chickens, she had dogs, that she loved her animals so much she had a chiropractor come out and adjust her pig. And so of course I'm bawling because he had been hurt and she was going to put him down. And he's just a pig. Just a pig. But he was uncomfortable and in pain. And I tell you what, I ran around in boots in 100-degree heat in Florida because he didn't just stand there and let me adjust him.
You chase him around. Yeah.
Yes, with my activator. And I was watching him and seeing and I got to touch him very little. So whatever, I had to know what I was going to do as soon as I could get anywhere near him and then take off running again. And so it was, and here I am thinking I don't, what am I doing? What am I doing? But the proof is in he got better and he lived his life and he went on somewhere nice to live after her passing. But it was, one of those things. You just don't know the impact you have, whether it's humans or it's animals. But, animals can't talk. They can't advocate for themselves.
You have to watch for the signs. Yeah. Now, what kind of training? So what happens when you say, oh, I want to adjust animals? What kind of, do you go to school for that separately or? You do.
Yep, I did the Certified Animal Chiropractor program through the AVCA, which is American Veterinary Chiropractic Association. And I don't remember how many programs there are. I looked and researched a few. The one I chose was in Texas, run by two vets who get their own chiropractic care, very much in the BJ Palmer, philosophy. Incredible humans, and they adjust their chickens, they adjust, their horses, and cows, and it's pretty intense, and it's an investment in time and money, but well worth it, I'd say. I think it's called ACEs, All Creatures Every Spine, is the name of their program.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Yeah,
Dr.
I love
O.
that name. Yeah.
Dr. O and Dr. Amy were the instructors, so I couldn't recommend it highly enough.
So there's different states have different regulations as far as chiropractors adjusting. So sometimes it needs to be under the supervision of a vet, which always kind of makes me laugh because I'm like, the vet doesn't have any idea what you're doing anyway,
Right. I don't replace a vet. I refer back to the vet. And yes, when a dog comes to me, that they tell me who their vet is and I send the information that the dog's being treated in my office. And so I guess it would depend on your, what is supervision? Do they need to be stand there watching over me or aware? But you're right, most of them, I walked into several to hand my information to them as just, something to offer their patients, and they looked at me like I was Looney Tunes. So,
I was going to say, yeah. I
used to that.
My question is around awareness. I was going to say, do you find that a lot of people just literally have no idea this is an option? Yeah, that's what I would expect. Yeah.
Yeah. And so unfortunately, what I didn't expect was how much I would see end of life in the animals that I did not expect that. And I've had to put down two, or I lost two, natural reasons, but it's so hard. And here I am. But because people, they find out about me, I had one of my most recent ones, he was right around Christmas, paralyzed. And he said, it seemed to happen overnight. But as we talked, the symptoms probably began 9-12 months prior. And I was like, if only I'd gone. Now, he can walk and he can go to the bathroom by himself now, and he has quality of life. So to me, as an owner looking at your pets, well, all that matters is their quality of life. And if they have a quality of life, then you do what you can to maintain that. The minute that's gone, that's a different discussion. But so thankfully, Scooby's doing really well, and I still see him every 3 weeks. So if more people knew, and if the information gets out there and more vets could understand a little bit better of how it would be a fantastic adjunct to what they do, I just don't know how that'll happen. But
it's not taking over, like you said. You're not doing surgery, you're not doing vaccines, you're not doing all these things that the vets do. You're not doing anything that the vet's doing, and the vet is not doing chiropractic. So it's a completely different situation. And I think sometimes people, it's like a turf war, right? And there is no need for a war, because really at the end of the day, we're all there to hopefully help the child, the human, the animal, whatever. I had a 100-pound Rottweiler, and she had some hip stuff going on. She didn't have hip dysplasia, but I was also alpha female in the home, and so was she. So I decided not to adjust her myself, because that would have created too much tension, right? And so I actually contacted a local chiropractor in Orange County, Rod Block, and he came over and adjusted her and used cold laser and stuff like that on her. And she was great. I think we did 2 or 3 visits with her because of what was going on with her back and her hips and stuff. And she was perfect, absolutely perfect after that. So if we'd let it go, she would have ended up with hip issues for sure, and then miserable for the rest of her life. So at the end of the day, cancer ended up taking her out probably 5 years after that. So he adjusts elephants. That's one of the things that he does in Southern California.
that's crazy. Wow.
So yeah, I have a friend in Nashville, Dina Riggins, and she adjusts horses and stuff like that as well. So I have quite a few chiropractor friends that adjust animals. And you go to the stables, and I would say a huge portion of the people there have chiropractors for their horses.
Now, yes, I think horse people have taken to it very well. They see a big difference. And so I learned a lot about horse adjusting from actually a classmate of mine, but he works up in Ocala at the equestrian center for the hospital. So he was employed in the hospital by the main veterinary. So he had so much experience and information. And so, yeah, it's starting to be, with horses.
Well, and we had somebody bring their cat in because the cat had jumped off of something, twisted. You know how they twist to try to catch themselves and land properly. And apparently that cat did not land properly. So it didn't quite get the full rotation. And so...
Yeah, I've had a few cats come in, not as many as dogs, but when I go see my sister has 2 dogs and 2 cats, and her older lab, I go regularly to adjust her, and then they all line up. And they're like, okay, me next. So here comes the next dog. And then the cats are all like, okay, but I have to do it really quick. They'll let me do it. And then they're like, oh, okay, that's enough.
So yeah, so for the people who, like, if you know, right? And so more and more people are seeing the benefits of that, obviously. And like I said, there's no turf wars, there's no issue with it. We all do different things. And
yeah, I'm not taking x-rays. If there's been any trauma or any questions, they go to the vet for the x-rays. They've been evaluated. So I'm coming alongside to see what else I can add. A lot of people don't want their dogs on some of these pain medicines, which can kill them. So people are looking for options, and so it's nice. It'd be nice if it started to pick up. Yeah.
Absolutely. It's interesting, Jen, that you mentioned Rod Block, because you gave me his name for Remy, one of our cats, and he came to the house and he treated her a couple of times. He adjusted her and did cold therapy on her lower spine, and then she was good. So he was really good with her. And she sat still for him and stuff. She was real good about it. But
and that's the thing about, like, animal chiropractors is that you don't become an animal chiropractor because you hate animals. Like you get into it because you have a huge affinity toward them, right? You want to it's just like pediatric chiropractors. Like you get into it because you want to take care of these kids. It's something it's not just like you became a chiropractor and you'll just take whatever walks into your office. And some people do and some people don't. But for animal chiropractors, it's a passion for them. It's something that they've seen work or whatever the situation is. But it's so that's the kind of person. It's like we had, totally off topic, but we had an old clock that has been in the family for years, and one of the family members actually built it like 200 years ago. And it was from Britain, and we brought it to this British clockworker, and I showed it to him, and his eyes lit up, and it was like, oh dude, you are like, he's like, where did you get this clock? And I'm like, holy cow, like it's a clock, you know? But like, I was like, well, he's the right person to fix this, because he just got so excited over it. So it's the same thing. Like you have a pediatric chiropractor. They love the kids coming into their office. I had a huge pediatric family practice for years, which is what Mary Beth walked into. And I think for a lot of us too, when you don't have kids, and even if you do, sometimes it gets a little over neurosensory for having a lot of kids. And especially in my office, there was quite a few. When you don't have them yet, that energy and that noise can be a lot. But you take care of what you have an affinity for. So, and generally, if you have an affinity for it, you end up pretty good at it. So yeah, some of the videos and stuff. So check out Dr. Mary Beth's YouTube channel. She's got some fun videos.
Another fact on that though is when you watch, so there's other animal chiropractic videos out there, and they'll show you these huge cracks. Doesn't happen. They're fake.
I was going to say, I don't,
because I don't
it's a pretty minor manipulation, right? When you do it, it's quiet.
And if I get a cavitation, I'm like, whoa, it's surprising to me. So the ones where you're hearing really huge cracks, or the guy that's facing the Rottweiler and cracking his neck, I'm like, dude, you're going to get bit straight in the face, because they're in pain. So even the nicest dog, sometimes when you adjust humans, that they're like, ow, I didn't know that was sore, right? Or whatever it is.
Right.
So their response is they can't do anything. But I've had them snap at me, and I tell them, I'm like, they're like, oh, he would never. I'm like, just hold the head.
That's right. That's right. We're not taking any chances with this.
Yeah.
The other thing, there are microphones they'll put right next to their neck too, so that even the smallest sound, you can potentially hear it as well. So, like when I adjusted the office, I had some 17-year-old man-child who I adjusted his neck, and he didn't get the audibles that he'd been watching on the videos on YouTube, and was like, you did that wrong. And I was like, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I didn't think so. I don't think that's what just happened.
Yeah. And on the channel, when we're adjusting humans and we have the microphones on them, each part of the spine sounds different. So if someone's adjusting the SI or the lumbars, and you hear, and then you hear in the thoracic, and through the cervicals. I mean, some people are really cracky, but animals are rarely going to cavitate. So
I'm pretty cracky for sure.
When Jen adjusts me, I'm very cracky. So.
I have so many comments that I want to make right now. You have no idea.
You be quiet, ma'am. Yeah, I make lots of noise when
Shut up, you crackers.
My neck, my back, everywhere I get adjusted always makes a lot of noise. Yeah, like popcorn or something. I don't know.
Well, but that's the thing, is like some people have a lot of audibles, you can hear the audibles, and other people you can't. And so and same thing with the animals, but my experience with animals is you don't get the same sound out of the animals. And it's not to say that you couldn't, but I'm
generally speaking.
Yeah.
Because it's not, but I would also ask you, it's not the crack that heals, right? No. It's not that the sound has nothing to do. It's the effect on the nervous system. And that's what I always tell people.
And that sound is just gas escaping from joints. So it's
that's
not
what I tell people. I explain it.
Not the quality of the adjustment, but apparently with all these YouTube channels, with everyone's hearing all the cracking and popping, I'm like, I had no idea this was going to be a thing, but apparently
Are they adding sound effects in post? What are they doing? Is that
we never do. I don't do any fake cracks, any fake noises. So if you see me line up and do it and there's nothing. And so people are like, oh, you didn't get that. And then I always want to argue with them in the comments, but I refrain from arguing with people in the comments. Or the ones that call me a quack or snake oil salesman. It just comes with the territory when people don't understand, or they don't have haven't had that miracle, that I think chiropractic does for humans or animals. So
Yeah, I mean, I know for me, I can only speak from personal experience of Remy and how she did, but I mean, it made such a difference. It really
yeah,
did. You could tell she wasn't in pain anymore. None of
yeah,
those like pain indicators or behaviors were present anymore. And I knew she was okay. And I
yeah.
thought, oh my God, this man is a magician. Like this is a, you know.
Well, the cat was easy after the elephant, so
I was gonna
whatever.
say, now that I know he adjusts elephants, I'm
I
like,
would
oh
love
well,
to talk to him about the elephants.
a
That's
10-pound cat's a
weird.
piece of cake compared to an elephant. Criminy, good God.
Oh, but I bet they're such intelligent animals. Can you imagine their response after they get a release or relief? Oh, what a
Yeah.
beautiful thing, I think.
I love when some of the videos I've seen because I love watching animal chiropractic videos, and when you can see the animal like the relief on their face or their expression changes, I'm like, oh look, like you can see
That's what humans do too. Every single patient, after you adjust them, I've had some patients go, "Do you have a video camera in here, like watching our faces?" And I was like, "No." I guess I probably could have 10,000 views or a million views because of people with their faces after you do an adjustment. That'd actually be probably kind of entertaining, but.
Yeah, remember in your stateroom on the last cruise, and you did the occipital release, and I felt it all the way into my lumbar spine. Like if we had recorded that one, that would have gotten a million views.
Oh, you've done that adjustment on me too.
Woo! That's a good
Oh,
one.
that one's intense. I mean, it
Yeah.
makes all the difference in the world, but man, it's intense. I'm like, oh my God, it's basically like moving my skull. I'm like, ah.
Well, I mean, I had a patient come in today and her occiput was out. She's had a headache for a month. I've been out of the office and I came back in and I adjusted her occiput and she was literally like, oh my gosh, it's already going away. And I
Yeah.
said, I know. And it's like, it's visual disturbances. I explained the whole thing. She didn't even tell me the symptoms. She goes, that's exactly what was happening. I'm like, yeah, it was your occiput was out. We adjusted it and you're fine. So, just adjusting period. And like Mary Beth said, getting that nervous system to be activated and functioning properly and getting the sympathetic chain to not be hyperstimulating that sympathetic nervous system and getting that fight or flight response to calm down a little bit and down
Yeah.
regulate is so important for healing, period. So
I wish more people knew about chiropractic, not just I got in a car accident, so I'm going to the chiropractor. I'm like, it's like I wish I
no,
could. It makes me
more
so
and
mad. I'm
more
like,
people,
no.
no, really more and more people are. I mean, it's definitely, we're number 3 after medical doctors and dentists. We're
Yes.
the number 3 most popular healthcare profession in the US. So a lot of people don't realize that. But, when I moved out of state and I would tell people I was a chiropractor, like, oh my gosh, we love our chiropractor. Almost every single person
Oh, good.
in Podunk, Tennessee has a chiropractor.
Yeah.
And it was funny how open-minded Californians are, and there was way less people getting adjusted out there than being adjusted in Tennessee. So I thought that was really, really interesting when you have some sort of some information, some actual information that is going against what we've been told. So
Yeah.
Right.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I have actually a doggy waiting for me. Lucian is here for his weekly adjustment. He's
Aw.
an older husky who is very much loved by his mama. So
Huskies. I love huskies so much. I almost crash my car when I see one being walked down the street. I just start like driving that way. I'm like, oh my God, whoops. I love them so
the
much.
husky videos where they're howling, like I
Yes.
can't imagine living with them, but it's hilarious to watch. So
That's true. That's true.
All right, Mary Beth, go save the world. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you, Dr. Mary Beth.
Thank you so much for having
joining
me.
us today. This was fascinating. Thank you so much. I love this.
let's do it again.
I would love that.
Bye, love.
Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.
That wraps up another episode of Speaking Holistically. Thank you for listening. We hope today's conversation gave you new insights and inspiration to take charge of your health. If you enjoyed this episode and want to hear more, be sure and join the Speaking Holistically school community by clicking the link in the show notes. There, you'll get access to daily podcast episodes, weekly live Q&As, educational content, and so much more. You can also connect with us on our Facebook page, follow us on Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Until next time, be well, stay curious, and keep speaking holistically.